Eternity in a single draw. Before swords gleamed in sunlight, before castles carved shadows across the land, there was the bow. Not the curved elegance of later centuries, but a raw, aching thing. Bamboo hardened by fire, strung with the sinew of hunted beasts. In the Jomon period, when God spoke through crackling flames and the bones of the earth still remembered their names, hunters drew these first bows with hands that knew only hunger and survival. The arrow's flight was a prayer for meat, for life, for one more dawn. Then came the Yayoi people, bearing rice and iron and war. The bow became more than a hunter's tool. It became the mark of warriors. Chieftains rose and fell by the strength of their archers. When the first emperors claimed descent from the sun goddess Amaterasu, it was said she herself had tested mortal rulers by the accuracy of their shots. Archery was no longer just skill. It was divine right made visible in the trembling air behind a loosed arrow. The Nara period brought the first great codification of the art. Chinese chroniclers wrote of Japanese envoys demonstrating their barbarian shooting with asymmetrical bows, taller than the men who wielded them. These were weapons of terrifying power. The yumi, yes, with its grip placed deliberately off-center, could send arrows through armor at 200 paces. But already something deeper stirred beneath the martial surface. Shinto priests began performing ceremonial shots to purify land, to bless harvests, to silence restless spirits. The bow was becoming a bridge between worlds. Warrior monks of Mount Hiei marched into battle with bows strapped to their backs, chanting sutras between volleys that darkened the sky. During the Genpei War, the legendary archer Nasu no Yoichi, standing on a wave-rocked boat, sent a single arrow through a fan hundreds of feet away, a shot that still echoes in the kabuki plays that reenact it centuries later. Yet even as blood soaked the fields of Dan no-ura, the first inklings of Kyudo's philosophy emerged. Warriors spoke of issha zetsumei, one shot, one life. Not just the enemy's life, but the archer's own existence concentrated into that single perfect release. The Tokugawa shoguns, desperate to control the warrior class, turned archery into an art of contemplation. The great master Morikawa Kozen wrote, "The target exists only to show you where your mind wavers." Dojos became temples of silence, where students might spend years learning merely how to stand, how to breathe, before ever nocking an arrow. The ceremonial attire, the hakama, the tabi socks, the glove woven with 5 symbolic colors, each element a reminder that this was no longer combat, but moving meditation. In 1606, at Kyoto's Sanjusan Jendo Temple, an archer named Asaoka Haibei set a record that would stand for centuries. 8,033 arrows shot down the 120-meter hall in a single night, 3,013 finding their mark. The feat required more than endurance. It demanded a trance-like state where time collapsed into the rhythm of draw, release, draw again. Modern physicists would later calculate that the arrows spent more time in flight than in his hands. Today, when Olympic archers compete with carbon fiber bows sighted like rifles, the old ways persist. At dawn in certain country dojos, masters still teach students to shoot blindfolded, training them to feel the wind's direction against their cheeks, to hear the target's presence in the silence. The Japanese word for to shoot, iru, also means to enter, as if the arrow were not flying away, but returning home. Perhaps this is why the bow endures when swords became museum pieces. It contains all of Japan's history, the hunger of the hunter, the terror of the battlefield, the monk's quest for enlightenment. Every draw of the string tenses with 2,000 years of whispers. The target is merely a mirror. The arrow always points both ways.